The Tom Lively Podcast.
Not acceptable. And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting U.S. president. It's got a whole trail of crimes. That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave. You're a citizen.
AOC has had nothing to say about the attacks on the ICE agents. Can you believe that? But the Epstein fiasco gets her attention. You see what she posted today? Wow, who'd have thought that electing a rapist would have complicated the release of the Epstein files? Hope it goes viral, because that's all you're about. What have you ever done to fight for the release of the Epstein files? Huh? You sent out a few tweets over the years just to try to what? Ride the wave? Where are your resolutions? Where are your speeches on the floor? Where are your demands? Nothing. Just like the rest of your propaganda and your false promises. It's great for you for being, developing a following, but it's not much in terms of being a leader when you get nothing done and you just play the game of advantage. You are no better than the people you think you oppose on the right.
Don Lemon showed up on Bill Maher's podcast, and he articulated his vision for the future of the Democrat Party.
People love AOC. People love Jasmine Crockett. People love Eric Swalwell and the like. And I think that the Democratic Party should put the people out there who the people want. They should put the politicians out there who the people want, who they're asking for, who are meeting the moment with the same energy that
they're not asking for AOC.
Yes, they are.
The people you party with
No. The people I party with don't like AOC.
Oh, please.
No, they don't at all.
Well, most people don't.
Kind of the money quote there. People love Eric Swalwell. That's a sentence that this total doofus just said out loud. It is the first time that the words love and Eric Swalwell have ever been used in the same sentence.
Listen, the real problem for America, if you want to even talk about like the Islam taking over America or taking over Europe, well, how did that happen? That happened because we completely destabilized the region, fighting war after war after war that did nothing but slaughter hundreds of thousands of people. And then our Western governments had the most insane open immigration policy that was basically suicidal. We're doing this to ourselves. We're $37 trillion in debt, and we're looking for another enemy to go fight. Since the collapse of the Soviet Union, we've spent $20 trillion on empire and wars. And you know what? We can't tax enough money to pay for it. We can't borrow enough money to pay for it. So what do? We print the money. And now you guys are coming out into the world and you're wondering why you're 6 figures in debt from college and you're getting a job at DoorDash and the average house goes for $800,000 because we've destroyed the currency chasing these monsters that were never any threat to our country.
So, and not to make the audience's head blow up anymore, but Bill Barr's father was the guy that saw Epstein one time at a bookstore, I think. And Epstein was from Coney Island, had no college degree, gave him a job at one of the most prestigious boys' schools in the prep schools in New York City, And from there, quote unquote, he taught math, or he was a tutor for math. And after Bill Barr's father hired him, Ace Greenberg's son, I think, took it. He knew Ace Greenberg. Next thing you know, he's at Bear Stearns. Next thing you know, he's a partner. Oh, by the way, another coincidence. Bill Barr was the attorney general that drew up the whole new charging document on Epstein. It was in Bill Barr's control and authority that the Bureau of Prisons reported to that Epstein was murdered. Committed suicide. Suicided himself. It stinks to high heaven, does it not?
Mark speak about it, but we've made a deal today where we are going to be sending them weapons and they're going to be paying for them. The United States will not be having any payment made. We are not buying it, but we will manufacture it and they're going to be paying for it. Our last meeting of a month ago was very successful in that they agreed to 5%, which is more than $1 trillion a year, so they have a lot of money. And these are wealthy nations. They have a lot of money, and they want to do it. They feel very strongly about it, and we feel strongly about it, too. But we're in for a lot of money, and we don't want to do anymore, and we can't. But we make the best, and we're going to be sending the best to NATO, and in some cases to maybe, at Mark's suggestion, if we go to Germany, where they're going to send early on missiles, and they'll be replaced, and NATO is going to take care of it. It's going to be coordinated by NATO, and they're going to work very much with Matt Whitaker, who's right here, who's a great ambassador, and Matt's going to be coordinated. You better do a good job, Matt.
I will.
But Matt's going to coordinate. He's a very talented guy. He's going to coordinate everything. I haven't agreed on the number yet, but they're going to have some because they do need protection. But the European Union is paying for it. We're not paying anything for it, but we will send it. It'll be business for us, and we will send them Patriots, which they desperately need, because Putin is really surprised a lot of people. He talks nice, and then he bombs everybody in the evening. So there's a little bit of a problem there, and I don't like it. Just, they're paying for everything. We're not paying anymore. We have an ocean separating us. I said, we have a problem. We make the best stuff, but we can't keep doing this. And Biden should have done this years ago. He should have done it from the beginning, but he didn't. He didn't know he was there.
As I've said, the convergence, and you got Bibi Netanyahu and, Tel Aviv Levin and the Israel First crowd cheering on, regime change in Iran. They said by Labor Day, let's take the 1st of September, always a memorable day for European wars. You're going to see the merger of these two conflicts. We are rapidly moving, inexorably being drawn in to a major war on the Eurasian landmass in Ukraine, where we will be a combatant. And we're being also drawn in. They continue to try to draw us in. President Trump's taking a pretty tough line to be drawn into a regime change conflict in Iran. And those two are going to merge. So all the people said, with Third World War to start, Third World War is here, bro. Been here. Millions dead or wounded already. And it's about to get a lot nastier. It's about to get, we're going to go up a couple of notches. In the United States, by supplying offensive capabilities is now, just like in the 12-Day War. You're going to go from a supplier of weapons to someone that helps them figure out how to use them, to, join as a combatant on the defensive side, to join as a combatant on the offensive side, regardless of whether NATO is the middleman or not.
And there are 3 tiny toilets that are toilet units that have a sink attached to it. They get their drinking water and they brush their teeth, where they poop in the same unit. The portions available for employees: large pieces of roast chicken, large sausages, and the detainees' lunches were a small, gray turkey and cheese sandwich, an apple, and chips.
right, Monday night, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing good. As always, be blessed in the mighty name of Jesus. Let me say it to everybody in the chat. Let me see right there. Top. JD Joy 25 is on. USA Abbey Girl is on. Scooter Magruder is on. Those Jesus people is on. Skunk 71 is on. Robin Aroni is on. Agravane is on. Let me see. Patriot of the North is on. Patty K44 is on. Big Jim Go Blue is on. Milwaukee James is on. Sunwoo 45 is on. Mike Griffith is on. Craig 9 Mon is on. Bud Dave is on. Christopher Arnott is on. Spoken 007 is on. General Plowman is on. Ian Mark is on. K4 VMS is on. Guitar Glenn is on. Jim Brody is on. Johnny F62 is on. Let's see. Salty Gonads is on. Sheila K is on. Veronica 18201 is on. Bob Corley is on. Stephen Toms is on. Conservative Waffle is on. Phil McCracken is on. Luann 5 is on. Let me see here. The one and only Clean Sanchez is on. Let me. So I can see the banana is back on Rumble. Aaron told me, and I can see it in droves tonight. Peg McGroin is on. Snodod 311 is on. Those Jesus people is on. Leon Fish Puppy is on. Milwaukee James is on. Luann 5 is on. My favorite show is on. Man 26 is on. Corporate. That's an interesting name. Corporate Meat is on. Yo, from Northport. Northport, right back to you. Thundering a lot here right now. Let's see here. Scrolling down. Confederate 1 is on. Just spotting the people I haven't said yet. Let's see here. Granite 24. 68 is on. Someone Brett knows named A. Wethy is on. Mobetta 01 is on. Uncle Wally is on. Scrolling down to the bottom here. Rafa 9821 is on. All right, that's good. All right, here we go. Let's go to the first one, Eric Doherty. Now, I was the only one. Now that it was brought up, far be it for me to ever brag because far be it for me to ever brag as the crew laughs right now, but far be it for me to ever laugh, but to ever brag or boast in any way. But anyway, everybody but me on the TLP podcast said that Bongino would be gone by Monday. Everybody said he'd be gone, but not me. I said he'd be back. And by the way, I even agreed with them, but I said I'm going to stick to my guns because towards the end of the show, I'm thinking he ain't coming back. Then everybody predicted he'd be back. My wife, Aaron, Brent, everybody said he'd be back. He wouldn't be back. And he is back. Just in, FBI Director Dan Bongino came to work at the Bureau today per CNN. Here to stay, hopefully, I agree. Eric Doherty. Still, listen, again, you can be critical. It doesn't mean you change sides because you're critical of your side. That's like being critical during the Biden administration, and that makes you anti-American. It's not that way. All right, let's go right to the next one. Rapid Response 47 video. ICE arrests 11 illegal alien sex offenders and pedophiles. Now, who was enabling them to be here? Can anybody guess what state it was in? Hey, can you side by side that one, Aaron, for me real quick? I just wanted to put out, this is who they just arrested. And what state could this possibly in, which gives it away there on the graphic? That would be Minneapolis, St. Paul, in the great state run by tampon Tim Walz. And because he enables all of these people, to stay in the country and, of course, to stay in the state, and refuses to cooperate with ICE, but ICE is getting them anyway. But you can imagine being a Democrat in 2025 and your stance and your meaning in life is let me keep pedos in my state. That's what you really care about. Play for me.
11 men arrested by ICE in the Twin Cities last month, targeting what federal officials are calling the worst of the worst. This news release from the Department of Homeland Security even calls out Governor Tim Walz, saying he and his fellow sanctuary politicians are fighting to keep these sex offenders and other criminal illegal aliens in our country. Instead of comparing ICE to the Nazi Gestapo, Governor Walz should be thanking our law enforcement for removing these pedophiles from Minnesota.
Imagine laying your head to rest at night and you know that what gives you juice in life, which gives you meaning in life, is making sure that these guys are still in the street. I mean, everybody think about this. This is a guy, Tampon Tim, and you got Keith Ellis as his AG, is a wife beater. But anyway, so here you have Tampon Tim, of course, stolen valor, habitual liar, and you can just tell everybody in his family actually hates him behind the scenes. You ever know, you can just get it. I don't know if it's from pastoring or it's from police work, but I can tell you, I have radar with this stuff. And I can tell almost right away when I talk to somebody, even though you're putting out a facade of niceness, everybody that you live with hates you. Aaron, you know people like that? I mean, you just know it. They're like, you know what? I know. And Tim Waltz behind the scenes, you know, remember him dragging his son around? He's a wacko, like a legitimate wacko. And you'd have to be, because what he's in favor of is the same thing they were caught doing in Boston. And again, this isn't just about deportations. This is about enabling people to commit sex crimes against children and women. Because these guys here, now remember, 11 criminal illegal alien sex offenders. They're all sex offenders. All of which Tim Waltz is advocating to stay in the country. And is actually not just advocating verbally, he's advocating physically. He is actually commanding his law enforcement officers to not cooperate with ICE. I mean, that's what it means to be a Democrat. In 2025, go to the next one for me. Here's what I put this out on Twitter right here. This is a Democrat in 2025 right here. California State University professor arrested after attacking federal agents. He probably thought that they were ICE agents that were on a deportation mission. No, this was during rescue missions where at least 10 children were being held as slaves by human traffickers. And this guy right here was attacking them physically. This is what I mean. Listen, the Democratic Party, and something needs to be said here. Everybody needs to make sure you're praying God's hedge of protection around you, because this is a dangerous country because of the left. I mean, this is a very dangerous human being that now, when we all saw the marijuana grow farm and they had the little kids working there and how violent that went. We've seen the attack in Texas where you still have the main perpetrator is on the run right now. There, where the ICE facility was actually attacked even via gunfire. So we now can see now, and again, we were accused since January 6th of 2021 of being the violent party. We never commit violence at all. Nobody was serious. I mean, again, I want to make sure everybody knows this. Nobody was even seriously injured on that day outside of protesters. Nobody. They can claim what they want. And to this day, I mean, they will run the rhetoric until, I mean, even I was going to say until they are completely and totally exposed, but they're completely and totally exposed all the time and continue to run the rhetoric. To this day, I'm always seeing whenever Trump talks about pardons, the Democrats will say this from a guy who pardoned all those people who assaulted law enforcement on that day. He pardoned all of them. Donald Trump pardoned several hundred J6 protesters, most of which never touched a cop, but yet they say that all of them touched a cop. They put them all under the umbrella of somebody who battered a law enforcement officer on that day. And most of them did not. Most of them that were there, most of them were criminally charged and put in the D.C. gulag for unlawful parading in the Capitol, or for knowingly trespassing when they unknowingly trespassed because all the gates were down, which was on purpose too. That was actually purposely done by Matthew Graves, the U.S. attorney there at the time. But anyway, so now we know who the violent party is. Every single mass shooting is by a transgender individual. That's slightly hyperbolic, but not. And the only mass shootings that you don't hear about and that aren't done by transgenders are done by black individuals. That's a proven fact. And does every apply? It does, statistically speaking. Of course, there's going to be at some point maybe a white mass shooter. And this has got nothing to do with race. It has to do with political expediency and political agendas and being politically correct, because there's all kinds of mass shootings. If you're ever wondering why, you're like, well, these stats coming out of ATF and the FBI's UCR, you're like, where do these mass shootings happen? Because I never see them, because there's mass shootings in Democrat-controlled districts all the time that are conducted by black individuals, of course, usually black men, because 13% of the population commits 56% of the violent crime. And that's just a problem in the black community. It has nothing to do with the pigment of their skin. It just is what it is. It has nothing to do with melanin content. So anyway, this is what it means to be a Democrat. So now Democratic districts are the most violent. Individuals committing violence are all Democrats, just like this professor right here. And they not only attack, attacking ICE agents who are trying to do deportations is one thing, and it's a heinous crime, and all of them need to be arrested. And as I said last Friday, when you have a situation like at the marijuana grow farm where they are throwing giant rocks at your vehicles, you get out with guns. You get out with guns. You drive your vehicles to a safe distance. You get out with guns and you arrest those individuals. And if they continue to throw boulders, you open fire. And until that happens, they're going to continue to do it. There should have been times during the LA riots that they opened fire. You put it out. You want to end rioting, open fire. Where it's justified. Believe me, I was a cop for 25 years. Where it's justified. And there are times right now where cops are not opening fire because of the career consequences and because of the criminal justice systems that they sit under. And let me just say this for the record. You can't blame them. I mean, I want you to think about if you were a cop and you were involved in a shooting in LA right now during those protests or at any time, who's going to be the one that decides whether or not you go to prison? It's going to be a blue judge, a blue prosecutor, a blue grand jury, a blue jury, a blue appellate court, a blue Supreme Court. I mean, and you wouldn't have enough money to take it to the United States Supreme Court. So I really can't blame them, which is why I tell a lot of people it's time to be a federalist republic, and it's time to move out of blue states. I'm telling you right now, because here they are. And it's not getting any better. It doesn't matter how many times Gavin Newsom shows up on the Sean Ryan podcast. And he goes on those podcasts. And with these, I'm really not trying to be, never mind, I'm lying. I am being critical. Because these guys, they go on, they have Gavin Newsom on their show, or he goes on, it was actually Newsom goes on Sean Ryan's. And I'm not blasting Sean Ryan because I didn't watch the whole thing. So I'm Sean Ryan aside because I didn't watch the whole thing. And I haven't watched, and I want to always be transparent and honest, I haven't watched any entire podcast with Gavin Newsom on it. But I was just put an if in front of it, put the 2-letter word in front of it, if Gavin Newsom goes on your show and you do not call him out, and you're not ready to roll because that man has all kinds of lies that appear to be real. He has fake stats coming out of real bureaus. That's what he always does. It's all lies. And I watched him on Sean Ryan today, basically they were talking about the usual stuff with transgenders. And Sean Ryan was talking about, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, whether it was little kids having their penises lopped off or whatever it was. And Gavin Newsom agrees with them on the podcast and then legislates in the exact opposite way every time. Because this is what it means to be a Democrat in 2025. It really is. It's a dangerous place. If you're living in a blue state, and I know that some of you can't leave, but you need to leave. If you at all possibly can leave, you need to get out. Because if anything ever does happen, you're going to be under a blue judge, blue jury, blue grand jury, blue appellate court, blue Supreme Court, blue prosecutors the entire time. Blue district attorneys, everything. All right, let's go to the next one. And wokeness tweet. This is good news. This is all kind of revolving around the Trump administration right now. And wokeness tweet. Breaking. Fauci pardon was approved at 10:30 p.m. by Joe Biden, Aaron? No. White House aide Jeff Zients. Now, of course, none of us in this room, it's Brent, Aaron, and I tonight. None of us voted for Joe Biden. And I don't believe Joe Biden was legitimately elected, but he did legitimately take office, let's say.
Right.
So did anybody at all vote for Jeff Zients for president? Because I'm trying to remember all the signs, because I hardly would ever see any Biden signs or bumper stickers, but I saw a lot of Trump's. But occasionally I would see a Biden-Harris sticker somewhere. But I never saw Jeff Zients 2020. Jeff Zients 2020.
Yeah.
Anywhere. I never saw any of that. Did you guys?
No.
Because he was the president. So I want everybody to know, because that's who is actually, he is Jeff Zients, whoever this guy is, was president, because he's using the Autopen and approving the Autopen use. Just want everybody to know, Jeff Zients 2020 should have been the signs that you saw. At the January 19th meeting, which took place in the yellow Oval Room of the White House residence, Mr. Biden kept his aides until nearly 10 o'clock. Woo-hoo, boys, late night at the White House. 10 o'clock. Donald Trump goes to bed like at 3 o'clock in the morning and gets up at 6 a.m. That's what he does. To talk through such decisions, according to people familiar with the matter. The emails show, you got to kind of watch this a little bit. The emails show that an aide to Mr. Siskel sent a draft summary to Mr. Biden's decisions, a draft summary of Mr. Biden's decisions at that meeting to assistant Mr. Zients, to an assistant to Mr. Zients, copying Mr. Siskel. At 10:03, the assistant forwarded it to Mr. Reed and Mr. Zients. asking for their approval for the Fauci pardon and other things. And then sent a final version to Mr. Feldman, copying many meeting participants and aides at 10:28 p.m. 3 minutes later, the President of the United States, Jeff Zients 2020, hit reply all and wrote, "I approve the use of the Autopen for the execution of all of the following pardons." I repeat, the President of the United States, Jeff Zients, I approve the use of the Autopen for the execution of all of the following pardons. You know what? There is nothing covered that will not be revealed, and hidden that will not be known. Matthew 10:26, Jesus speaking. And here it is, because all of these people, again, none of them are smart. None of them are smart. It's literally like watching one of these crime shows. And you have the perpetrator of the crime. He doesn't realize that everywhere he goes, his cell phone is pinging off of a tower. You cannot run from technology unless you've turned it off. And they are documenting themselves on technology. They are documenting their actions on technology. And the sitting president of the United States, Jeff Zients, you're like, Tom, it's Joe Biden. No, it's not. If it's not, Joe Biden should be right there. And by the way, Aaron, ask yourself this question. Everybody watching, Brent, ask yourself this question. This question. Where's the Autopen machine located at? Can anybody answer that question? It's located in the White House. Where was the meeting at? In the White House. And why isn't Joe Biden signing these things? Because he's incapacitated. And if anybody actually believes that he was holding his White House aides late that night till 10 p.m. as they were having these discussions, then we all know that's not true, because otherwise they could have just floated these things right in front of Biden, or Biden could be standing there saying, I approve the use of the Autopen. But why would anybody use an Autopen when you're standing right there? Because Joe Biden wasn't capable of understanding what he was signing. So the sitting president of the United States that nobody voted for, Jeff Zients, was making the decisions for him by saying, I approve the use of the Autopen for the execution of all of the following pardons. And the only one we know about right now is Fauci, unless somebody knows something that I don't know. Go to the next one for me. Windtalker tweet. Guy's brain is mush. Now, Joe Biden, this is about follow Windtalker on Twitter. Excellent account. Guy's brain is mush. She is referring to Joe Biden just did a phone interview with the New York Times. And the reason why he did it was because of the Autopen story. But Joe Biden, they're like, let's get him out there and let's get him in front of the story. Joe Biden is not capable cognitively of getting out in front of any story. So the worst thing you can possibly do is roll Joe Biden out of hiding to have an interview with the New York Times, and I'll show you why in just a minute. Guy's brain is mush. Biden quotes in New York Times the New York Times call deemed unintelligible. Here's from Breitbart and the New York. This is from Breitbart. It's a Breitbart article quoting the New York Times. Always want to give due credit. Former President Joe Biden's ability to process and respond to information is once again, this is Breitbart, being called into question after an interview with the New York Times. Biden spoke with the newspaper over the phone, of course, on Thursday and was questioned about clemency actions he took as his time in the White House drew to a close, the Times reported on Sunday. Mr. Biden did not personally sign the official warrants recording those decisions, although standing in the White House right next to the machine, allegedly. Mr. Biden did not personally sign the official warrants. Why not? What else did he have to do in the waning days of the Biden administration?
Right.
What else did he have to do? I'm gonna do my signature right now. Let's Aaron, just kind of time me in your head. Ready? Here I go. Ready? Go. I'm signing. All right, just signed. 2 seconds. All right, you can't sign. I mean, how many? So you could sign 30 a minute. And because you wouldn't be, because he's not a pauper and a smelly Walmart person like you and me. So he would have somebody doing, here's my stack of stuff, right? So he would, sign, and then the person would move it for him. He signed, person move it for him, sign. So he could do more than that in a minute. And even if he, again, it's not correct and completely against practice, but he could actually stand over the Autopen machine and just say, I approve, I approve, I approve. None of that happened. President Jeff Zients did it. So Biden spoke with the newspaper over the phone on Thursday and was questioned about the about clemency actions he took as his time in the White House drew to a close. The Times reported on Sunday, quote, Mr. Biden did not personally sign the official warrants recording these decisions. Rather, his White House staff used an Autopen device to do so, the article said. The newspaper then shared excerpts from the interview. Regarding allegations from President Trump and others that Biden was incapacitated and his aides abused the Autopen, the former President Biden claimed, and see if anybody can follow this. This is what they chose to write. They're liars. They know it. They know for certain. I mean this. Look, what they've had a pretty good thing going here. They've done so badly. They've lied so consistently about almost everything they're doing. The best thing they can do is try to change the focus and focus on something else. And this is I think that's what this is about. It's consistent with Trump's game plan all along. I mean, and he says it again, I don't expect you to answer any questions. But if I told you 3 years ago we'd have a president doing this, I think you'd look at me in the eye and say, what, are you crazy? Did anybody understand any of that? Let me do it again. This is Biden talking to the New York Times. They're liars. They know it. They know for certain. I mean this, look, what they've had a pretty good thing going here. What does that mean? It's consistent with Trump's game plan all along. I mean, if I don't expect you to answer any questions. But if I told you 3 years ago we'd have a president doing this, I think you'd look at me in the eye and say, what, are you crazy? About the preemptive pardons he bestowed on his own family members, he said, here it is, in terms of my fam, he must go to an ARC church. Hey, church fam, 27th day of lockdown, get your third mask on and your third vax. In terms of my fam, he go after me. That's what he said. In terms of my fam, he go after me through my family. I know how vindictive he is. That's how he talks. The Democrats trod him out to get ahead of the Autopen controversy. But by the way, he needs to be brought before Congress and explicitly asked under oath, did you authorize this particular pardon, this particular clemency, this particular piece of legislation, and be made to answer in specificity for it. Otherwise, every pardon is not legit. Not one of them is legit, and the prosecutions need to begin. And here's the thing: we need to go ahead and chance it. I mean, Fauci needs to be prosecuted. Francis Collins needs to be prosecuted. Rochelle Walensky needs to be prosecuted. Peter Daszak needs to be prosecuted. Ralph Barrick needs to be prosecuted, and numerous other people need to be prosecuted. And there's people on the J6 Unselect Committee that need to be. These are the people that sent Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro to prison, and they weren't even authorized to give them the subpoenas that they were convicted of avoiding. Because Navarro and Bannon went to prison because they did not obey subpoenas. They were obstruction of Congress for not obeying subpoenas that particular committee was not authorized to issue. So those people need to go and be tried federally. And if he can't answer, and we just need to roll the dice because he pardoned the entire J6 committee. But did he pardon them or did Jeff Zients pardon them? If Jeff Zients pardoned them, which by the way, every single one of those pardons, the only one that anybody's talking about is Fauci, but every last one of those pardons that Jeff Zients approved, every one of those people can now be prosecuted and need to be. All right, let's go to the next one. Nick Sorter video breaking. Rand Paul will be reissuing his criminal referral to the DOJ for Anthony Fauci after his pardon was confirmed to be issued by a late-night Autopen run by Jeff Zients. Play it for me.
What we're alleging is that gain-of-function research was going on in that lab, and NIH funded it. That is not. Can't get away from it. It meets your definition, and you are obfuscating the truth. I'm not obfuscating the truth. You are the one. I'm not obfuscating the truth. You are the one. I'm not obfuscating the truth. You are the one.
Listen, his pardon is not legitimate. Go ahead and bring him up on charges. He needs to be, he perjured himself numerous times. And there's also just flat out crimes against humanity. It's like right now they're going after Comey, Brennan, and Clapper. And I think they're going to go after them, not for perjury. They're going after them, I believe, for conspiracy against rights. Whether it'll be Trump that they conspired against. This is a serious federal crime, by the way. Look into Mike Davis with that. George Papadopoulos, all with the Russian hoax stuff. Carter Page, people like that. So if they're going to do that, then they need to go after everybody who is part of this COVID cover-up and pushing deadly vaccines and deadly mitigations, locking people in the homes of where you're going to catch COVID to begin with. And by the way, let me make sure that everybody understands this. I don't care if you did catch COVID. COVID's nothing. It's a cold. It's a flu. It's nothing. And we had no rise in excess deaths. We had no more deaths in 2020 than we did in 19. More people died of the flu in 2017 than died of COVID in 2020. So when I say these things, please understand, because I still see people equivocating. And I hear lies told by like Piers Morgan when he's talking to Tucker Carlson. You know, we were getting hit hard here in the UK. I knew people who were dying. Give me the names. Give me the freaking names. Because the people that were dying in the UK of COVID were being executed inside of old folks' homes, of nursing homes. They were actually given overdoses of morphine because they didn't want them to have to suffer with COVID. So COVID, which they all would, a 95% survival rate amongst those with 4 or more morbidities over the age of 80. That was the survival rate for COVID. Everybody know that? I mean, 95% survival rate for those over the age of 80 with comorbidities. So they only had a 95% chance of living, so they killed them. Tom, that makes no sense. I know people need to go to prison for the rest of their lives. They maybe even need to be executed for it. Because that's what was going on. And Gavin Newsom was running this bullcrap line again on the Sean Ryan show. Yeah, everybody can look back now because everybody knows. No, you know what? Because he was criticizing him for lockdowns and everything else. And everybody knows now, so now they can Monday morning quarterback. No, anybody with common sense. It's just like watching Jake Tapper talk about the cognitive decline of Joe Biden. Jake Tapper can fall into one of two scenarios. Either he is a liar or he is unbelievably dumb. And he's not unbelievably dumb. So he was just bold-faced lying because he saw it. And he saw the decline of the cognitive decline of Joe Biden. He saw it. So he knew. So he lied about it instead. So imagine that if you were pigeonholed that way. There's only two choices to describe you. You're either incredibly dumb or a liar. And that's Gavin Newsom. You're either incredibly stupid or you're a liar, because everybody could see COVID. Nobody was dying. Nobody was dying around him. Not one person died around Gavin Newsom. You can't name anybody who died of COVID. You might be able to name people who were stuck on ventilators when they had COVID who died. You can name a whole lot of people who died of remdesivir poisoning because that shuts down your organs. You can name a whole lot of people like that, but you can't name anybody who died of COVID. If you have even one COVID death in your life, because I have two, both of them were treated with remdesivir in the hospital. They wouldn't have died of COVID otherwise. So, I mean, it's all lies. So when you're dealing with people like that, those are your decisions. That's it. Whether it's Fauci too. Well, we didn't know at the time what we were dealing with. Aaron and I did.
Yep.
I mean, we kept the church open. We knew. I was looking at the data. You know what I was able to do? I was able to drive all around there. You see Foundation Church, Northport, Florida. That's where I live. I could drive all around Northport. I never saw anybody dead.
Nope.
Weird. You know, I mean, all of 2020, because it came early in 2020, right?
Yep.
I mean, it was right there. We heard about it. I remember hearing on vacation when I was on Christmas vacation in December of 2019. Here comes COVID. And they became this huge deal in 2020. And because I still drove around because I never put a mask on, never closed, never stood 6 feet apart, never did any of those ridiculously stupid things. And yes, if you did that, you did stupid things. You need to repent of it. But anyway, I drove around, never saw one dead body to this day. Not one dead body, not once, ever. Never knew one person who died of COVID, ever. I did see people drop. I did see, in my tiny little neighborhood of about, 25 houses maybe, suddenly 2 people get stage 4 cancer post-vaccination. And I don't know if they're vaccinated or not. I'm saying post-vaccination rollout. And 1 person dropped dead on their toilet. Now, that's kind of weird in a 25-house neighborhood, isn't it? Well, you had nothing before. Nothing. And then, boom. So, I mean, again, that's what I mean. These people, Rand Paul's doing the right thing. He needs to reissue his criminal referral for Anthony Fauci, put it on Pam Bondi's desk. Whatever she does with it is up to her. And here's my thing, too. Pam Bondi, people can criticize her all they want, and I'm fine with criticizing Pam Bondi. But the thing is, you're going to criticize Pam Bondi, then you have to criticize Donald Trump. That's the way that it is. I mean, that's the game that Laura Loomer's playing. You're like, Tom, you keep picking on Laura Loomer. That's because she's a moron. She comes out and she attacks everybody who is anti-Iran strike. But now she's anti-Trump when it comes to Epstein. But she's still real MAGA. And anybody who opposed the precision strike in Iran was fake MAGA. So she is like the lord of all fake MAGA. She can deem whether somebody's fake or not. When she's fake MAGA, she's not. But when somebody else is fake MAGA, they are.
Yeah.
Because that's what what she does is she plays Potomac two-step, and she blames Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi, Donald Trump was at a women's soccer game this week. Guess who was with him? Pam Bondi. So you can be like, if you're going to attack Pam Bondi, you are directly attacked. That's his pick for the Attorney General of the United States of America. You are directly attacked. That makes you fail. That would be like saying you could attack Pete Hegseth for the Iranian strike and Trump's exempt. I guess that's Laura Loomer's rules. All right, let's go to the next one. Rapid Response 47, is that where we're at?
Yep.
Rapid Response 47 video. NEC Director Kevin Hassett on the Federal Reserve's palace-like office renovation. This is what you and I get to pay for. Play it for me.
This is the most expensive project in D.C. history, $2.5 billion with a $700 billion cost overrun. To put that in perspective, the cost overrun for this Federal Reserve project is about the same size as the second biggest building overhaul in American history, which was the FBI building. And so the Fed has a lot to answer for. And the bottom line is that there's a key statutory problem. In 1913, when we founded the Fed, the U.S. was under a gold standard. So it was never envisioned by the people that voted for the construction of the Fed that we currently see, that the Fed could print money and toss it around willy-nilly because they had to have the gold to do what they're doing. And they're unbounded right now.
Let me make sure everybody heard those numbers there. So this, because you and I are actually, now, Aaron, you correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. The Federal Reserve is private.
Yep.
But you and I are paying for their building?
Yep.
Can anybody explain that to me, please? I would just like somebody to explain that for me because they said they're private. And they're allowed to print their own money, which you and I would go to prison for, and they print their own money to assume their own debts, and then build a building worth $2.5 million, $700 million over budget. I mean, these people are building monuments to themselves. And by the way, Aaron and I have covered this. DC owns 300,000 buildings. You're like, Tom, no, you're off. It must be a zero off. I'm not off. They own a federal government owns 300,000 buildings in the United States of America. Now, we know around D.C. because we chronicled it when Doge was a thing, and it still should be. Sadly, it's not. When Doge was a thing, we chronicled around Washington, D.C. all the empty buildings. We had one that was completely empty, and it cost $60 million a month. You're like, does everybody see this? I mean, I just want you to see. And you see me being critical right there. Does that make me anti-America? Like me being critical of Israel makes me anti-Israel? I'd have to ask Laura Loomer, I guess, because she's the purveyor of all things anti, right? She can deem what's anti and what's not. So I'm just curious. But anyway, so there's buildings around D.C. that are completely empty because only 6% of the workforce actually shows up, because that was never changed by Elon. He was never given a chance to change it. For what was ever wrong in the relationship, because Elon burned it to the ground. It was bad, and then Elon burned it to the ground. There's no, when you sit there and you go and you say that the President of the United States and the Epstein files, okay, it's over, and that's, Elon burned it to the ground. The burning it to the ground is on Elon. The original dispute, who knows? Nobody knows. But anyway, we know that Doge was coming up with all these stats and all these empty buildings, and only 6% of the workforce was actually showing up for work in Washington, D.C. We have no reason to believe any of that's changed, because there's no real Doge anymore. It's there, but we're not getting, nothing's being put out. They're not tweeting anything. Nothing's happening. And Trump even threatened to turn Doge on Elon. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot happening. So why in the world can't the Fed move into one of the buildings that we're already paying $60 million a month for, but nobody's in? But instead, we're spending $2.5 billion on their building, spending more than any other building in history except for the FBI. And we were bestowed the awesome privilege and the awesome honor with no benefit whatsoever. Because what's the FBI ever done? Can anybody ask that? I mean, what do they ever do? Nothing. And they suck. And I'm not going to go into that. I can go in a 15-minute montage about how much they suck as a law enforcement agency, because they suck. They suck. They're 20 years behind in technology, and they suck. But anyway, and their tactics are horrible. Their academy is horrible. Their training is horrible. Their agents are horrible. They suck. I would take Boone, Egypt Sheriff's Office with Billy Bob Williams, who's the sheriff, to solve a crime of the FBI.
Yeah,
I would right now. I'm telling you right now, because the FBI sucks. They're all a bunch of social workers and attorneys who don't know how to handle crimes. But anyway, so we get bestowed upon us in the same year the Federal Reserve and the FBI in 1913. I mean, that's just like literally being hit in one testicle, and that's not enough. So you offer up the other one. So you get two testicle shots, one on one testicle, one on the other. And that's because the only building that the Fed was either slightly more expensive or slightly less expensive was I can't remember which from the video, was the FBI building. That's still being built, by the way, which that should have been cut by Doge. That had to be less because it was $600 million. So it was less. $600 million for the FBI to have a building. Unbelievable. Here's a good side. Dutch video. The U.S. posted a $27 billion surplus in June. Play for me.
Wait, the United States just posted a surplus in June and nobody's giving Donald Trump credit? Let's talk about it. Now, this is the first time that this has happened in a really long time, but there's more to it. We're just scratching the surface. Before we get into the details, make sure you like and share so that this news doesn't get buried. Now, I'm going to use a couple of different sources so that you don't think I'm just cherry picking. Seeking Alpha says, the U.S. budget balance unexpectedly flips to a surplus in June as tariff receipts jump. The article goes on to say the federal government earned $27 billion more than it spent in June, compared with its minus $41.5 billion deficit expected, and the prior month's $316 billion shortfall. Now, I told you we're just scratching the surface, so keep watching. CNBC said that with government red ink swelling throughout the year, June saw a surplus of just over $27 billion, following a $316 billion deficit in May. And I know where this is going to go. It's because of the tariffs and it's going to trickle down to us. But hold on a second. In that same article from CNBC, it says that the government last posted a June surplus in 2017 during President Donald Trump's first term. Increasing tariff collections are helping shore up the government's finances. Last time we ran a surplus, inflation went way down. Because here's the thing, it's not just the tariff revenues as to why we're running a surplus. You can see that Trump's cost-cutting measures at Doge, his tariffs, and real wage growth unleashed by his deregulatory agendas are indeed trimming the trajectory of our debt growth ever so slightly. All in all, the deficit thus far in fiscal year 2025 is 1% smaller than the first 9 months of the fiscal 2024 year. Now, this is fantastic news because for once, we might actually be starting to eat away at the national debt. So this is the biggest money news that we've seen in the United States all year. Make sure you like and follow.
See that again? Great news right there. I mean, Aaron, you got the debt clock for me? Just pull it up when you get a chance as I'm talking. There you go. So I mean, again, Trump is doing this, and the truth is the truth. I hate the big beautiful bill. This has got nothing to do with the big beautiful bill. It's not enacted yet. But anyway, that'll be fiscal year coming up. But anyway, this is what Trump has said about the big beautiful bill. And really, he's conducting the government right now because we're operating still under a CR, which was very similar to the Big Beautiful Bill. But the Big Beautiful Bill was just different than a continuing resolution. It really wasn't a spending bill. It was more of an allotment bill. But anyway, so the truth is the truth. And Trump, in the month of June, the United States government, for the first time in who knows how long, actually posted a $27 billion surplus. So we made $27 billion more than we spent. The U.S. had $27 billion extra in June, unlike last year's under Biden, $71 billion shortfall. So last year we lost $71 billion in the month of June. This year we made $71 billion, which means, going back to the Federal Reserve, that we printed $71 billion last year to pay for debts for things that we can't pay for with money we don't actually have, so we print the money. New tariffs brought in $26.6 billion, and we spent $187 billion left. So most of it isn't even tariff money. Donald Trump, as he did cut the White House budget, he cut the White House staff budget by, trying to remember what it was, by tens of millions, 100 million, whatever it was, can't remember, tens of millions over Joe Biden. Cut the staff almost in half. So he has half the amount of people working for him as Joe Biden. It's not half, but it's in that ballpark. So, I mean, listen, Trump is a great president. It doesn't mean I agree. It doesn't mean that when you say that he's great, that it's like it's very, very similar to if you ever say during a service a preacher's name. If you don't do what I do every time, then someone's going to come up to you at the door and say, "I don't agree with him on this. I don't agree. I can't believe that you actually believe that. I can't believe you actually follow this guy. I can't believe you actually listen to this guy." Because nobody agrees 100% with, number one, anything that everybody watches, and number two, with any person.
Yeah.
So I always put it out there, like, don't come to me at the door and tell me that you don't agree with this preacher. Don't bother. Because we all don't agree 100% with the preacher. Because I say his name, or because I say the Iran strike was wrong, which it was, then doesn't mean that now I'm anti-Trump. You see what I'm saying? This is still going at the exact same rate. But Trump is at least doing, listen, it is a big freaking deal to have a budget surplus of $27 billion versus Biden's budget loss of $71 billion. That is a difference of $100 billion in 1 month. That's a big deal. That could actually change this to some degree. And I've always said, I hope that I'm wrong about the big, beautiful bill. And if this clock slows down, then I will tell you that I'm wrong about the big, beautiful bill. So anyway, new tariffs brought in $26 billion. If we keep this up, we could lower our $1.3 trillion budget deficit. So if he's right, but again, a trillion is 1,000 billions, and this is 27 billion. So you can see how big it would be. And that, remember, this $1.3 trillion. So that's, $1.3 trillion roughly. So it's a big deal. So anyway, but you know what? This is great. Great. Nobody else does it. Bush never did it. Obama certainly never did it. Biden never did it. Clinton never did it. Herbert Walker Bush never did it. Now, they didn't have these deficits, though, and they weren't spending at the deficit level that Donald Trump is spending at. He is, but at least he's attacking it, so that's a good thing. All right, let's go to the next one. Bannon's War Room video. John Solomon, new evidence shows U.S. intel had proof of Hillary's criminality before Comey cleared her. Play for me.
The Inspector General report on Hillary Clinton's email that reveals that the United States intelligence community got new evidence of possible criminality in the Hillary Clinton email scandal, but did not pursue it just before James Comey cleared her of all criminal wrongdoing. That has stayed secret for 8 years. Chuck Grassley, the Senate Judiciary Committee chairman, has been relentlessly pursuing it. He has President Trump's ear. I think that's going to get declassified in the next few days. That will show that there was reason to pursue Hillary Clinton, not clear her, and not pursue Donald Trump. They should have not ever investigated him for Russia collusion. The second piece of classified evidence that could be released is referred to by John Durham as the Clinton Plan intelligence. It's an intercept 5 days before the FBI opened up on Crossfire Hurricane that Hillary Clinton was about to concoct a Russian scandal and try to pretend that Vladimir Putin was helping Donald Trump win the election. That means that the CIA, the FBI, and President Obama himself personally was aware that what Hillary Clinton was doing was a ruse, a political dirty trick, and still James Comey's FBI opened up on the information. If those two pieces of evidence get declassified so grand jurors can see it, Pam Bondi names a special prosecutor, we could be rolling by the end of this week.
So, James, you have to think about the people that were in on that meeting, okay? And there's probably, of course, more than one meeting. But in the meeting of all meetings when they all decided to initiate the Russian collusion investigation, you had Brennan in the room, Joe Biden in the room, James Comey in the room, and Hussein Obama in the room. So you had the head of the CIA, the head of the FBI, the president and vice president were all in the room, and probably some other staffers too. And they all said out loud, imagine how disingenuous you have to be. I can't even imagine functioning in this sort of social way. I couldn't ever, because everybody in the room knows now that you are an immoral human being. And James Comey parades around as Mr. Legitimate, Mr. Moral, the voice of reason. And everybody else are conspiracy theorists, and he's the voice of reason and maturity, the adult in the room, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so they were all in this room together. And of course, and now it's turned out that there was vast amounts of evidence released to James Comey just prior, because you need to understand that whole James Comey, those of you that remember back in 2016, where James Comey came out, like, I don't know, I think it was like 9 days before the actual election, came out and said that he's reopening the investigation of Hillary. Does everybody remember that? And all of us rejoiced in it, and rightfully so to some extent. But that was all just a ruse to get him off the hook. That's all that it was. And it was actually probably planned by the Clinton campaign. Just go ahead and say it days in advance and then close it, and it won't have any harm on us. Because they figured they'd already rigged the election to the extent that it wasn't too big to rig. So that was probably planned. But anyway, James Comey was given the information long before he ever closed the investigation. This was absolutely illegitimate. That is now on the record that that collusion was illegitimate, that it was a hoax perpetrated by Hillary Clinton. All four of them are sitting in the room. Imagine, and now you're also depending on all of these people to never rat you out, to never testify against you. Some people, like I believe it's even John Solomon from Just the News that we just saw, is thinking that maybe that you might have Clapper behind the scenes, maybe even Brennan behind the scenes testifying against Hussein and Biden, maybe it's another combination there, and informing against the others. Who knows? I've heard that before and it never happens, so I don't want to get my hopes up. But anyway, so they're all in this room together, and it's said out loud, this is from the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC. This is, in fact, a hoax. The Clinton campaign has hired Fusion GPS, as actually starts with Perkins Coie, hired Perkins Coie and Mark Elias. And Mark Elias goes around all around the country, allegedly filing lawsuits for fair elections, and he's nothing but a perjurous liar himself. So Mark Elias and Perkins Coie hires Fusion GPS, which is basically like a publicity company, to drum up a fake story. So Fusion GPS hires Christopher Steele, who hires Igor Danchenko, who does open source searches on Google for information about Donald Trump. So just stories made up on Google. That's where the PP hoax comes from, Donald Trump's in Russia being peed on by Russian hookers. That came from Igor Danchenko. And Igor Danchenko said under oath that it was all bar talk and none of it was legit. And they all knew this. Brennan knew it. Comey knew it. They were all in this meeting. Biden knew it. And Hussein Obama knew it. They all knew that it was a lie. And then they open up an investigation anyway. Would any of you ever do that? I mean, the moment I've got another cop in the room tonight. Okay, if someone comes up to me and they say, this is entirely a hoax made up by another person. I'll just make it a gross crime. This girl is making up this rape, and the girl who's making up the rape tells you she's making up the rape. Do you then open up a rape investigation? That's exactly what they did. They knew it was a hoax. It had been confessed to being a hoax. Christopher Steele knew it was a hoax. Igor Danchenko knew it was a hoax. Mark Elias and Perkins Coie knew it was a hoax. Bruce and Nellie Orr, basically a Fusion GPS, knew it was a hoax. And they open up an investigation anyway. Again, put that in stark terms. A girl comes up to you and says, I was never raped, and you open up a rape investigation. That's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did. It's worse than that, because then the girl will say to you, you know what? I just made it up because I wanted it for bar talk. So I just tell people that I was raped because it's great bar conversation. Oh, we need to open up an investigation on your rape then. That's exactly what they did. That's who John Brennan is. Disgusting, repulsive human being. John Brennan, Jim Comey, Mr. 8647, goes around like he's Mr. Virtuous. I mean, he sat in a meeting. Jim Comey sits around me. He's like 6'8", walks around. He talks in that Ark Church pastor tone. And always, I'm the voice of reason. We really didn't know. Always make sure he never levels up on his voice because he wants to make sure everybody knows he's the most mature person. He's a disgusting, repulsive maggot. That's what he is. He's an absolute feeding on feces maggot. That's who he is, because he knew in the room, this is not a real crime, but I'm going to open up an investigation and do it anyway. So it's all coming out. Nothing covered that will not be revealed, and hidden that will not be known. Let me just show you these. These are kind of just fun. This is a True Texas Project video. I want to show you two cities being run now for decades by Democrats. And just look at these numbers. All right, True Texas Project video. Play it for me.
Director, can I ask you about the Urban Land Institute trip that you were requesting? Can you explain why you wanted $8,100 to go to a 3-day conference?
I don't have anything to say. We can certainly talk with you once I get back to the office.
You requested $3,500 for a hotel. I called the conference. They said the rates are $249 a night. You wanted $3,500 for a 3-day conference. Can you explain why you had that number?
We do estimates for our travel, and certainly we try to be conservative in our numbers.
The registration fees are $1,070. You requested $1,700. Why did you get such a higher number there?
We can provide you a response.
Yeah, we'd be happy to do that.
All right. You also asked for $1,500 for airfare. Round trip is $200 according to Expedia.
Hey, don't worry, Aaron. They're going to print us out a response. Just want to show you. Again, anybody who ever puts 1 ounce of trust in any Democrat, especially, but also Republicans, but much worse Democrats, are absolutely insane. $8,120 for a 3-day conference. I remember going to police conferences, and our hotel room was at the, because it's been a while, was like 150 to maybe 150 to 179 a night, something like that. And these were 5 or 6 day conferences, and your entire bill was like $1,500. And this woman's going to a 3-day conference, and she's a Texas city commissioner for $8,100 for 3 days. For 3 days, she puts down like her flight at 3 times what it cost. Her budget for the hotel was $3,500. That's what she puts down. And you notice, and Brent did like real investigations. I was always street level, but he did real investigations, and we both interrogated a lot of people. You can watch the body language. She says this: "I don't have anything to say to you, but I will talk to you later."
No, you won't.
What does that even mean? I don't have anything to say to you, but I'll certainly talk to you in the office. That's what she said. I will certainly talk to you in the office. Why don't you talk to him now? You have nothing to hide. Why wouldn't you just simply say, you know what? She can't say anything because she has signed these orders. She has signed whatever sort of receipt that they have, whatever receipt. She's basically kind of sworn and affirmed that this was the correct amount. You're like, Tom, why are you picking on something from Houston, Texas? Because it's a typical Democratic run city. Typical Democratic run city. $3,500 for a hotel. The reporter says, I called the conference. They said it was $249 a night. So it should have been, $750. And she billed it for $3,500. And it should have been $750. And this is why we are $37 trillion in debt, because all of our money is going for Democratic Party politicians. And you're like, Tom, it's Republicans too. It's actually rare. It's actually rare. If you were to deal on a percentage basis, it's 99% going to Democrats. And it's still going even in the big, beautiful bill where all the NGOs are still funded, because these are multi-billion-dollar NGOs that pay Democrats millions and millions and millions of dollars to disseminate a few $1,000s. That's what it is. You have the CEO, the assistant CEO, the assistant to the CEO, the assistant to the assistant of the CEO, and everybody's making 6 or 7 figures to run this NGO. They're given $1 billion, and they end up giving away $4,000 and paying themselves $1 billion to give away $4,000. That is that. There's no other way to describe, because there is no other way that's accurate, our budget deficit and debts. That's it, because that's what's happening. If it was something real, then where's all the stuff? Where's all the stuff? If we're going to be $37 trillion in debt, I mean, why aren't our lives better?
Yeah.
Why are there potholes anywhere ever? Why is it that our military is dilapidated? Why is there a $21 trillion budget hole in the Pentagon to begin with? I mean, $21 trillion have disappeared. They have not passed an audit for the Pentagon in the last 7 years, with the exception of the Marine Corps. That's it. And it just shows you this all that it's about. It's not about misspent money. It's fraudulently attained money by Democrats every time. I mean, again, it's just a small example, but it's a big deal. This entire conference should have cost about $1,800, and she billed the city of Houston $8,123. Let's go to Sweet Home Chicago, shall we? Wall Street Apes video. Chicago Public Schools bankrupted. Play it for me.
Chicago Public Schools just announced it's laying off more than 1,400 school-based employees. This includes 432 teachers and 677 special ed classroom assistants. CPS says this is part of its annual workforce planning and budgeting process. Historically, the district says more than 80% of impacted employees have secured new positions within CPS prior to the start of the school year. It's not known if the current $734 million budget deficit will impact that rehiring process.
So they're absolutely bankrupted because they've been filling their schools under Brandon Johnson, the idiot. I mean, I never thought it could get any worse in Chicago until Brandon Johnson took office. I mean, I never thought it could get any worse than it was. I mean, he is probably the dumbest human being I've ever seen hold public office, with the sole exception of Mazie Hirono. She's the dumbest human being I've ever seen. But here's the stats. They are now laying off almost 1,500 employees, 432 teachers, 677 special education classroom projects. Chicago has a $734 million budget deficit. What does that mean? That doesn't mean that's not their debt. That's their deficit. They're overspending $734 million a year in one city. How does this even happen? And then people their eyes look up at these leaders and they go, these are our leaders. These are the experts. They know what they're doing. We're $37 trillion in debt nationally. Chicago's $734 million in debt in just their city. The state of California is close to $1 trillion in debt themselves. Hundreds of billions of dollars in debt. And these are the experts? Absolutely not. Let's go to the next one. Natalie Jean, I'm just going to guess, Beisner video. Did everyone already know all this? Listen to how Bill Barr, how Bill Barr and his dad connect to Jeffrey Epstein. Play it for me.
I went back and I watched it, so follow this through with me. Ready? There's a guy named Donald Barr who works for the OSS, which is the predecessor to the modern CIA. This is during World War II. OSS becomes CIA. Now, Donald Barr ends up taking over one of the most prestigious schools in the country called the Dalton School. Yep. Where he hires a completely unqualified 20-something-year-old named Jeffrey Epstein to teach math and physics, despite the fact that Epstein never even graduated college. Now, through the connections that Epstein makes at the Dalton School, he is referred by a parent to go work at Bear Stearns.
Right. Yep.
What? Okay, hold on. Okay, now, Donald Barr also introduces Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell.
Robert Maxwell's father, Giselle Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell.
Who has associations with?
Mossad.
Bingo.
Yep.
Now, there's no definite link, right? Because you're trying to find it. However, he was literally given a state funeral in Israel and eulogized by the president of Israel.
Yep.
And there are other potential rumors that there's like KGB with M16. Okay, now, this gets even grosser. Nat, I just sent you a Wikipedia link. Donald Barr wrote a book called Space Relations, and it is the grossest, most creepy book, and it has to do with the galaxies. It's a sci-fi book. The super rich in the galaxy, and they're trafficking young human beings.
Oh, my God.
And they talk about, even in this, it's like Then they ruined this virginal 15-year-old redhead by raping her when she was about to be traded to the elite of the galaxy. The man wrote a book about sex trading human children to the galaxy's super rich. And then, last but not least, guess who was heading the Justice Department? You know this. Take it.
Bill Barr?
Bill Barr!
Bill Barr is the son of Donald Barr. Yeah, no, there's a lot of creepy.
bananas.
There's so much creepy stuff going on.
Who visited Jeffrey Epstein the day before he died in jail, in prison?
Was it Bill?
Barr. He was the last person to visit. I kid you not.
He totally killed himself.
And,
All right, so there you go. So Donald Barr, you imagine this. Could this ever happen for any of us? That you have no college degree, okay, to qualify to be a deputy sheriff and push around a police car for 25 years, you had to have an associate's degree. I happened at the time to have a bachelor's degree and all that, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? But anyway, I'm just saying, you could never, and by the way, I was even like a substitute teacher and a high school football coach, those things. And you had to have a certain level of education to be a substitute teacher and all that. He didn't qualify to teach at all. He had no degree, but Donald Barr, Bill Barr's dad, Aaron, this is all just coincidence.
Of course.
I mean, because Bill Barr's the one who got him off on the first charge in 2005 too. Remember, everybody remembers that too. Remember the prosecution down in West Palm. He got off. Remember that he was having sex with underage girls, and he got a minor prosecution in a walk in and out prison, day prison, where he would leave all day and then come home at night, come to his prison at night and sleep. That's the prison sentence he got for 18 months or something. But anyway, Donald Barr gets him a teaching position at the Dalton School. This is like, you'd have to have a PhD minimum to teach at this school. But somehow Epstein gets a job there. Does this not sound all CIA to you? I mean, how an unqualified person gets a job as a teacher and then via his connections at the Dalton School, as if it wasn't all on purpose, leads him to Bear Stearns. And by the way, he gets fired for corrupt practices at Bear Stearns, but then starts a company in his home and becomes a multi-billionaire without any employees, without any connections, and without any resume whatsoever. And again, I just bring this up, and I brought this up from the pulpit on Sunday morning. I don't know if I even believe in billionaire-ness anymore in the United States of America, about people actually making their own billions, because I honestly think that 90% of the time or more, you and I give every billionaire their original seed money billions out of NGOs. And I think it's exactly what happened here. So he gets a job at Bear Stearns, through his connections at the Dalton School, which he never qualified to even work at the Dalton School, gets fired for, I'm trying to remember what it was, something trading at Bear Stearns, illegal trading at Bear Stearns. And he gets introduced to Robert Maxwell from Donald Barr. That's Ghislaine Maxwell's daddy, who mysteriously fell off his yacht. I mean, again, the guy who was just about to testify against Bridget Macron, you know who he was? He was the one who performed, potentially, allegedly, her sex change operation, turning him into a different looking him. I guess lopping off things or adding things. I don't think anything's lopped off, because I think that Emmanuel is a receiver. But anyway, because I don't think he'd want his husband's tool lopped off, because I think he enjoys it. But anyway, you can just kind of tell he gets slapped around. He kind of enjoys it. Probably
That's
enjoys the
right.
rest stuff. Yeah.
He loves it.
Yeah, he loves it. But anyway, so Robert Maxwell. So, I mean, Bridget Macron's surgeon who lopped off or added whatever to her fell out of a building. Just fell out. That just happened. You can pull it up right now on Google. Fell out of a whatever story building. Just fell out. You know, like everybody does. That happens all the time, right? People just fall out of buildings. Yeah. And Robert Maxwell, who was obviously Mossad, he fell off his boat. After years and years and years of never falling off his boat, he suddenly just falls off his boat and dies. And then right when he dies, Jeffrey Epstein is introduced to his daughter to take Robert Maxwell's place, but it's all just coincidence. And then Bill Barr exonerates him in 2025 by putting out that sweetheart deal down in West Palm where he doesn't get prosecuted. Remember when the prosecutors come out and said publicly, I was told to take it easy on Epstein because he is, in fact, intelligence. And then Bill Barr, that's Bill Barr's prosecutor. So Bill Barr knows exactly what's going on. Bill Barr is the AG at the time under George W. Bush and gets Jeffrey Epstein off. And then lo and behold, under Bill Barr's DOJ, he commits suicide. And then Donald Barr, Bill Barr's dad, writes a book about trafficking kids in space. But this is all just coincidence. I mean, it doesn't really add up to anything. But look at this one. Go to the next one for me. Man of Memes tweet. Ghislaine Maxwell is ready to reveal the truth, offers to testify before Congress. Maxwell is also seeking to appeal her conviction in the U.S. Supreme Court on July 14th. Lawyers for the U.S. government will submit their response to her plea for the Supreme Court to take up her case. Maxwell's willingness to testify before Congress comes as the Department of Justice and Federal Bureau of Investigations, should be Federal Bureau of Instigation, released a memo last week which stated there was no evidence that Epstein possessed a client list, even though, he doesn't possess a client list, and she's in prison for the rest of her life for bringing clients to sex workers that weren't really sex workers, but trafficked kids. But somehow there's no client list. Imagine that. So evidence that Epstein possessed a client list or had blackmailed prominent individuals who engaged in illegal sex acts with minors. But yet there's no client list, but she's in prison for the rest of her life for trafficking minors to clients. Did I get that right, Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. I was just curious. All right, go to the next one. Benny Johnson tweet. Just got off the phone with top federal law enforcement contact. The change in approach. Suddenly, there's been a change of approach, and for all those people who maligned, going over the Epstein situation night after night, which everybody's still doing, by the way. People got upset about it. I don't want to hear about anything more about Epstein. Well, this is why we do it, okay? And now you're going to jump right on board and you'll be glad that we did it. But you're never going to say you were wrong about criticizing doing it, though. That's how people are. Just got off the phone with top federal law enforcement contact. The change in approach to Epstein has been dramatic inside of the Trump White House. Expect more disclosures. Some very powerful people inside the administration are now pushing for a special counsel and a full press briefing on Epstein's findings. Important to note, this drastic change happened after Charlie Kirk and a number of other powerful MAGA voices pushed back on the handling of the Epstein case. This weekend at the Turning Point Conference, they were met with massive roars of applause. It works from 7,000 people is what it says after that. So it works. That's why you do the Epstein attack, an Epstein monologue, an Epstein rant night after night, because it works. So a few thousand people, there's 1,000 people watching this podcast right now. It works. That's why you do it. So that Donald Trump changes his tune. And by the way, there's all kinds of ways that Trump is fully exonerated. He's already fully exonerated from anything to do with Epstein criminality. That's exonerated. But Donald Trump could very well be saying, you know what? There is nothing to see because they destroyed it all. I don't know. Why doesn't he simply say that instead of saying, you're talking about Epstein again? You're talking about Epstein again? Don't say it. If you're like, you know what? The Biden administration destroyed all the Epstein files, or the Hussein Obama administration did, or Bill Barr did in his numerous chances under W. Bush and under Trump the first time. He had numerous chances to do so. He may have destroyed it all. So that's what you do. Just get out in front of it. Release everything that you have. And you just simply tell the truth. We believe that most of the evidence was destroyed, or 60% of it, or 1%, or 2%, whatever it is. That's what you do. Just don't go when a reporter's asking about Epstein and go, you're talking about Epstein again? Yeah, because we elected you to expose Jeffrey Epstein, to expose the CIA when it comes to JFK and RFK, to expose the deep state. That's why we elected Donald Trump. And by the way, again, 157,000 jobs in the month of June, $27 billion budget surplus in the month of June. Donald Trump's doing a great job. I don't like what he's doing in Ukraine. I don't like sending weapons there at all. Again, does that mean, Aaron, does that qualify me as fake MAGA?
No.
Okay. No, I just, you know what? That's what you do. That's what being an honest person who deals in the truth does, no matter what. If you support the person and they do something that's not good, you tell the truth about what's not good. That's what being a righteous person is. All right, that's it. 10:19. That's good. All right, Rumble Rants tonight. My friend, Texas Billy, $50. Thank you so much. Nate Dad One, $20. Thank you so much. Patty K, $44, $5. Thank you guys so much in the rants. Appreciate you. Thank you guys so much in the chat. Love you guys. Stick around for the post game. Back here tomorrow night, as always, at 9 o'clock. God bless you. Your relationship with God is not up to him. It's up to you. He does not change. And whatever you put into the ground will come up. Whatever you don't put into the ground will never come up. A lot of you are waiting for a harvest from seed that was never planted. You're bored with Christianity, or you don't see what Christianity is all about. Even if you're saved, you don't really see what it's all about. It doesn't really ever pan out for you. It's because there's no seed in the ground.
Have you ever had a question you were too afraid to ask? Or a thought you knew everyone was thinking but no one dared to say out loud? Welcome to the Hope Hotline, where nothing's off limits and we say what others won't. Real talk, raw truth, your questions finally answered.
Thanks for watching the Tom Limpley podcast. We appreciate your support. As a special thank you, when you donate $25 or more, you will get a free TLP koozie. Enjoy your favorite cold drink while tuning in to our latest takes on current events. Your support keeps us going. Donate now to claim yours.
Know what country the Great Wall of China is in?
Country?
Yeah. If you had to guess.
Japanese?
Yes. Nice.
I'm really just guessing at the top.
No, you have. How many inches are in 2 feet?
I don't know.
Around how many inches? If you had to guess.
5?
Yes. Do you know what state is right under North Dakota?
What state?
Kind of hard to visualize a map. But
Right.
If you had to guess what's under, like what's right south of North Dakota?
You're asking me all these northwest, east questions. I don't know.
Guess a state.
A state. I don't even know the states. This is bad.
Yeah, a state. That's the one right under North Dakota.
This is so bad.
You want to come with me and get some ice cream? Your mom said you like ice cream. Come on, it's really close by. I'll come take you. Come on. We can go get some burgers and stuff like that and get some nice ice cream and stuff. Yeah, she knows me. No, she knows me. I'm friends with her mom. It's okay. Don't worry about this. Come on, let's go. Don't worry about this, man. This is none of your business.
Hey,
relax.
My business now.
No.
Right here.
Hi. You want to go get some ice cream? I know your mom. She told me you want to get some ice cream. You want some food maybe? It's like a burger or some fries? I could take you there. Come on, let's go. Let's go, man. Wait, don't worry about this, man. Don't worry.
Look.
She don't know you. I know her. I know her mom. I know her dad. No, it's okay, man. I'm coming here to take her to get some ice cream. It's all good, man. Relax.
I don't think so.
It's okay, man. Hey, relax. Don't worry about this, man. I'm just trying to get her some ice cream. Come on, let's go.
Hey,
whoa. Come on, hey, don't touch me, man. Hey, relax.
I think you need to get out of here then.
No, man. I just need to get her some ice cream. It's okay. Come on.
She doesn't want ice cream.
Look, she wants ice cream. She likes. She
doesn't want ice cream, man.
Hey, relax.
Get lost.
Okay, man. Relax.
I'm not joking with you, man.
Okay, man. Relax.
I don't want to.
It's none of your business. I'm talking to this girl. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. No. Hey. Relax. Okay. I'm going. Relax. I like your pink bow. You're welcome. Your mom's waiting at us at the playground. You wanna go? I can take you there. No, she's at the playground now. I'll take you there, okay? Hey, come on, we can just go. Yeah, I know her, man. Don't worry about this. It's none of your business.
Excuse me.
No. Don't worry about this.
You sure?
It's none of your business. Yeah. Don't worry. Come on.
No,
you wanna come with me? Yo, relax. Whoa.
Alright, just go.
Relax, man. Relax. No business. I'm just taking her to the playground, okay? Don't worry about this. Come on. Let's go. Okay, relax. Okay, man. Relax. Okay. I'm going. Hey. How are you? Do you want to come get some ice cream? Come on, there's a hot dog stand right here if you want to. Okay, we can get you something else, a maple shake, maybe. Come on, we can.
Wait, hold on.
Just come on.
Sorry, what's up?
Go on. Hey,
you know
don't.
this person?
No, don't.
Hold on. Do you know this person?
Yeah, I'm friends with her mom. What do you mean?
Person?
Let's go.
Hold on.
Whoa.
What's your name?
Don't worry about it. This is none of your business, man. Listen.
Who are you? Wait.
Don't worry about it, man.
Her?
Yeah, I know her. I'm friends with her mom. And
what's her name?
Don't worry about that, man. This is none of your business. This is none of your business, man. This is none of your business. Relax. I know her mom. I know her dad. We're friends now. Come on. Let's go get some candy.
How old is she?
This is none of your business. Whoa, I can get you some ice cream. I'm friends with her mom.
Why are you asking her to get some ice cream?
Man, it's none of your business, man.
It's none of my business, but she's telling me she doesn't know you.
Go sit down, man. I'm friends with her mom.
Let me ask you some questions right now.
No, you don't need to ask me any questions.
What's your name? No, you're not touching her. You're not touching her.
Don't touch me.
No, I will touch you, bro.
Bro, relax.
You're not gonna let her.
Relax.
She's not going nowhere.
Wait. You need to back off.
Hey, relax, man. Relax.
What's up with you?
I'm just trying to get her some ice cream.
She's a kid. You don't even know her.
I know her mom. I know her dad.
What are you trying to do?
I'm just trying to get her some ice cream, man. Relax. Okay?
You don't need to get her ice cream. Her mom will take care of her.
Relax, man. Relax.
You need to back off.
Don't worry about it.
You need to go away right now.
You need to not worry about it.
You need to leave.
Okay, man, relax.
She looks very afraid right now.
No, look at her. She wants to come with me, get some candy, right? She wants some ice cream. Come on.
You need to get out, bro. You need to get out.
Relax.
We will get physical right now if you want to keep.
You need to stay out of this.
Hey. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now.
Hands off me, right?
What do you want to do?
Out of here. Okay, relax, man.
Goddamn! Oh, fuck! Stop hitting me! You're a damn foot! I'm trying to back up! You're the one that said keep going! So who you talking? Sorry! Oh my God.
Okay. Yes, I'm fine, but also I tried to back it up, but then I ran into your house again.
So you believe because Kamala is black and a woman, she was chosen for
vice president? It's not my own belief. Her own team, Joe Biden said that. He said,
Joe Biden said that?
Yeah, he said, I'm first, because beforehand he said, I'm going to choose a black female for vice president. He didn't say, I'm going to choose the most gifted or the most talented or the most accomplished. He said, I'm going to choose a black female.
Mm-hmm.
And so by definition, that is DEI.
That is not the definition of DEI. By him saying that he was going to choose a black female, that could insinuate that he already had Kamala in mind for the role. No way does that insinuate that she's DEI.
Well, what is DEI then?
DEI would be...
choosing somebody based on their race?
No, it's giving people of color the opportunity to be welcomed into spaces in which they typically aren't able to get into.
There's never been a female black vice president.
And why do you think that is?
Well, not why. You just said that's DEI. So by definition, she's DEI.
I'm sensitive as a former mayor, as an executive, this notion of safety.
name is George Robinson, and I represent the Gay Liberation Front.
How do you do? This must be Mrs. Robinson.
No, I'm Cynthia Nash of the Daughters of Sappho. We wanted to talk to you about our candidate in today's election.
Hold it, Edith. Let me handle this, huh? Just let me do the talking here. Excuse me, get lost.